All right, how's it going tonight? Welcome to the stream. This is kind of a last minute one, so I don't expect very many people to jump on here, but hopefully you guys will see this tomorrow as well. Um, I've got limited time. It's been crazy the last several weeks. I've been traveling to Boston for work. I've also had my twin daughter's graduation just happening, and then I've got a busy week this week coming up too. But what I wanted to do is a quick preview of what is going to be happening this weekend at the Long Beach Coin Show. For any of you guys in Southern California, come take a look at it. It's going to be in the Long Beach Convention Center, and that's going to be the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So that'll make sure I got those dates right. But it's going to be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I think I do have those right. Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th of June. And anyway, come check us out. I'm going to be there with OC Stacker. We're going to have a booth. I'll have a banner if everything goes well, hanging up that says Stacking Surfer. And we should be located right next to Tangible Investments. And then we should be kind of across from PCGS as well as Kagan. You guys may know them as the dealer online that sells the Spanish gold. So, hey, Leslie Anderson, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'm getting hot, these lights, so I'm going to take this off real quick. But what I wanted to do is just showcase some of the stuff we're going to have there. So this is the first time for me doing an official booth at the Long Beach Coin Show. I've been invited to another booth in the past, but it's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to have some great deals there. So one of the things I'll be bringing along with me is mint sealed 2021 Type 2 Eagles. So we're going to have some of those there. And then I picked up these really cool coins. So we'll probably have these there as well. I just picked these up in San Clemente the other day at a jewelry store called Paradise Jewelry. And these are 2012 Silver Eagles. And these will be up for sale, but just to tell you guys, there are deals that are out there. I was able to pick these up for $2 over spot, which is a great deal. So I don't know if any of you guys are finding some good deals out there. But let me welcome the crew that's in here. Neil Hans Dynasty, what's up, man? Good to have you. And 949 Coins, maybe we'll see you. I don't know if you're going to be at the Long Beach Coin Show. Let me know. And then Michael Stacking, welcome. So what I wanted to do is give you guys a little preview of some of the stuff we're going to have for sale. We're still working on all the pricing of everything, which takes a little bit of time. But I think we're going to have a pretty good showing of it. And hopefully we'll be able to help people find some great coins they've been looking for their collection. And in the meantime, free up a little bit of capital for me so that I can go and buy some more silver, which is what I'm primarily buying right now. One thing I do want to show you guys that's really cool that just came in the mail today. This is for one of my friends that's Indian that moved near me, and I'm going to take this over to him as a housewarming gift. So let's see. I guess I could not pull this out. It's all sealed. But any of you guys know the Korean 2-ounce stackers? This is one right here. So this is a really cool one, and this will be a fun one for him. So you can see that it's a stacker that's there as well. So I forget the name of this deity, but it does have significance to him. And I think it might be one of the first pieces of silver he's going to have too, which is going to be cool. Most people from India that I know, they stack grams of gold pretty heavily. And as we know, India has been buying up a ton of silver. So I think that'll be a fun housewarming gift for him too. So anyway, that's really cool. So we're going to have some fun stuff that I want to showcase to you guys that I've been kind of collecting over the days. This one is going to be on display, but not for sale. One of these guys, you've seen these. And this is my personal one. This is number 733. So you can see that there, 733. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you can't. But I've sold all the rest I've had. I just sold most of them at $250 each this last week, and they've gone pretty fast. So those are gone. We'll have some Beskar bars there. I've got extras of these I don't have my knife. I'm not going to be able to open them up, but you can see them in there. We've got part of a tube there. And I'm just going to showcase a whole bunch of really cool coins. If you guys want me to, one of the things I might be willing to do is, if I can get the internet working when I'm there, is getting, Ganesh. There you go, Ganesh. Remover of obstacles and offspring of Shiva. There you go. So anyway, that's going to be really cool to give to him. Hey, Farm Dog, welcome to the stream. Amy, good to have you as well. What I may do, if you guys want me to, let me know. And what I might do is a kind of a buy it now or an auction in the middle of the show, just depending on how busy everything is. If we have a little bit of downtime, maybe we'll do that. But I'll just show you some of the cool coins that we're going to have. We're going to have this Grogu. We've got a couple of him. On Spider coin, I forget the name of this one. It's Australian funnel spider. So we've got that. I've got a couple maple leafs that are really cool that have privies on them. This one has the dog privy on it. So I have those there. I got a handful of these round, or actually these are not rounds, these are coins from Tokalua. There you go. So there's the country. There's the back with the queen on it. So I got a handful of those that we'll be doing. I got a bunch of those guys that are going. And then we are going to have Krusty the Clown. I don't even know why I have this. I'm not a big Simpsons fan. So Krusty's going bye-bye. So for me, guys, one of the things I'm trying to do is get a little bit more weight. And so I'm just taking a bunch of the coins I have, and I'm going to see what other people are looking for. So if you guys see something, send me an email if you have interest, and I give you the price on it. But here's another really cool Valhalla one, the Vikings. These are rounds. Anytime you can pick up rounds like this at a good price, I think it's pretty awesome. So I picked up a lot of those around 25 bucks. And then, I've got some of the fun African wildlife elephants. And then I've got this series too. So those are fun. So I'm not necessarily just trying to unload stuff, but I want to take a bunch of different products so that I have something that's unique. One of the things I've noticed at the Long Beach Coin Show and some of these other coin shows is you end up with just a whole bunch of Morgan dollars. You end up with a bunch of peace dollars that are graded. There's usually not a lot of variety, and a lot of people are looking for some of these fun coins. So we're going to have that there. And then this one's a really cool one too, with the crocodile, which I think is really cool. So Joseph Lopez, welcome to the stream as well. And 210 Stacks and Jim and Long Live Coins. How are you guys doing? So if any of you are coming to the show, let me know. We're going to be doing some silver giveaways. And maybe we'll do something for you guys too that are in the audience. If I can, we're going to try to stream a part of it as well, so that you guys can kind of see what's going on and how it's working, which I think would be pretty fun. All right, so I'm going to show you guys some more coins that are going to be up there. You got to have some decent inventory when you're going. So there's a Peanuts one. We have some of these fun ones. These are I think these are the Valkyrie from Germania Mint. 5 mark. There you go. And then you can't not go with Britannias. These are great coins. They do get some milk spotting. You can see it down in the dress there. I think every one of my Britannias has milk spotting on it. And then you got some Peanuts. So a lot of these are coins I've picked up at auctions online from a lot of our friends that we know. And, I bought these, and prices are higher now than what I paid for them. And so some of them I want to keep, and others I'm just looking to move. Like Calico Jack, I think I'll keep this guy, but he's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have any of those, but he's pretty fun. This is from 2022. But honestly, it's all money to me. So if I can sell this stuff and I can make a little bit of profit on it, then I will probably do that. I can always move it into some other inventory. And unless it's a coin that I just cannot part with, you know, they're all for sale. So there's a hammerhead shark that's really cool. OC Stacker, welcome. OC Stacker, if you know what our booth number is, I can't remember if it was 555 or if it was a different number, throw that in there. But I'll be doing this with OC Stacker. This is another one of my favorite coins, the Trident. I think that one's really cool. And then also the Welsh Dragon is a really cool coin. So these are just fun coins. What do you guys like? What are some of your coins that you guys love and have? Do you have any coins that you would just never part with? Or is it just money to you and you would sell any of them? So this is really cool. This guy here is Noah's Ark. So that one's pretty cool. It's basically, it's kind of a proof. And then I know Year the Dragons here. So these are half ounces that are pretty fun. I've got a handful of these that I picked up for a really good deal last year. So we're going to put some of those out, which will be fun. This one's a cool one. It's a kangaroo from Australia. And then it has an emu on the back. So that one's really fun too. Let me know what number 404 is the booth, guys. Let me know if you guys have any of these are your favorites, or if you've got a favorite coin that you like to hold on to. Another African elephant. For me, part of it's fun just chasing these different collections. But after a while, I've realized having too many SKUs is a pain in the butt to keep track of. So I'm also reducing that down a little bit. But this is a really cool shipwreck coin. And you'll notice all the ships are upside down on this series. So I sold my regular silver series. I have this last one left, and then I have the antique version. I don't really want to sell that unless I get a great offer for it. Those are pretty cool coins. Here's Great White. So the beach that I like to go down to, they just had a Great White attack a surfer. It did not hurt the surfer, but it bit the surfer's surfboard. It was about a baby 8 to 10 foot long shark, Great White. These are really cool. This is from Silver Shield, and this is a Hydra. So I got a handful of those. Those are pretty cool. So oftentimes I'll go and pick this stuff up at an auction at the end of the auction, or when I notice no one else is making bids on them. There's another privy. And here's another privy with a snake. And you know, these are kind of fun, guys, but these are ones that if you can pick them up for a good price, do it. You can usually resell them for a little bit more, but they're really not, there's really nothing real special unless you really like the privy on it. We got some fun koalas. So these are great. I think koalas and kookaburras are probably the nicest looking coins that are out there. They just show up so nicely. There you go. Annie Oakley, welcome. I like Libertads, Amy says, and Buffaloes and ASCs and more. Michael says, I like the Scotland Dragon. I just bought 4 rolls of Mercury through Cash, although Cash is tight. That's pretty cool. Here's another one. This is the infinity sign for basically quantitative easing. You can see the QE at the bottom. And you guys, that's still going on right now. Even though they say that the interest rate has been held high, there's still quantitative easing. There's other tricks up their sleeve, but it's still doing that. This one's a 2 ounce. It's kind of a thick one. Really cool looking. Yeah, money's tight for me, guys. So part of what I'm trying to do is pay some debts down right now too, with part of my stack. And then I'm also trying to simplify it a little bit more too. So for me, that's kind of a big deal. And I just think it's a little easier. Here's a few more of those dragon guys that were up there. So you can see those. Dang it. Try not to break your cases, your slabs. Not your slabs, but your capsules. There's another koala. I think this koala one looks really nice. We got a handful of those guys. And I don't know how I ended up with some of these Simpson things. I must have been a little crazy that night. I'm not a big Simpsons fan. I know who the characters are, but that's about it. I don't think I've even watched a full show all the way through. This is a cool one too here. This is Jesus. That's kind of a fun one. What are you guys doing stacking wise? Are you guys keeping everything? Are you selling anything? Are you going more into silver, more into gold right now? What are you guys doing? So here's a cool one. And luckily this one is not, I'm not seeing any kind of milk spotting on it. But this Britannia is the Coronation Britannia. So that's pretty cool. Well, I don't know how long he's going to be king for. And this is probably one that'll have a higher resale value if he doesn't live super long. And it's unique compared to a lot of the other Britannias. All right, what else we got here? Show and tell nice. That's what we're doing tonight, guys. I've just been super busy with stuff and just haven't been able to get enough videos and shows out. I did interview Andy Schectman today. I decided to do a video this time instead of just doing a live stream with him. So we're going to get that edited up, hopefully out this week. I've got a new sponsor to the channel that I'll be doing a video with on Friday, and that'll come out next week as well. So I'll wait to surprise you guys with that when that happens. And and then we'll be filming a bunch of videos at the coin show as well. So we'll give you guys a good sense of what's going on at the coin show. We'll do some lives, we'll do some videos, hopefully some transactions. And so what I'm hoping, it's not just, for me, it's not just about selling some of the coins I no longer want. It's helping people find and complete some of their collections. It's helping people get some good deals on silver as well. So we will have some rounds that'll be great deals. We'll hopefully get some good deals on some Eagles for people too. And then, one of the things that I'm really wanting to do is give it a try on Wednesday, doing some, let's just call it bulk deals with other coin dealers and people have booths. So I might get a chance of swapping with them, some Eagles for Buffaloes. I might get a chance to swap some gold for some silver. Part of that has to depend on what the GSR is doing. But I'll show you guys the stuff that I do love and I need to be careful with. But this is kind of my last one that I'm doing in this series. However, the case came totally busted. But this is really cool. And it's freaking huge. So do you guys know what this is? See, put a comment down below if you guys know what this is. They only made 99 of them. And unfortunately, the case came totally shattered. So you can see that there, which is a bummer. So I'm working on with the seller to try to get a new case from the manufacturer. The round itself is pretty cool. Yeah, this is the Aztec Sunstone. And it is a kilo of silver. What's really cool about these right now, if you guys can find any of these things on eBay, they're going for just a little bit more than kilos. You can, I've seen people picking these up for around $1,200 to $1,300, and you're going to buy a regular kilo for around $1,100 to $1,200 right now. So if you guys like any of these, this one only has 99, but if you go with the non-gold gilded one, they've got 333 of them. There's a bunch of them up on eBay. You can probably negotiate with people. If you're in California, yes, you're going to pay sales tax on it, which stinks. But this is a cool piece. This is something I'm hoping to put in my background, behind me down the road. So this is one that I think may end up becoming what I call with my accountant a prop, which allows me to write the whole cost of it off because it becomes part of my background. So I'm working on that, but that's a really cool piece I just picked up. And then I got a bunch of Beskar bars, 10 ounces that we're going to be putting up. So the one I'm not selling is my 2021. That one's staying with me. But these other guys I want to sell. They're a little bit more pricey than what I need to hold on to for silver. So, but we're going to have those there too. And then I don't know if any of you guys know about these guys, but I have these guys I'm hoping to sell too. It is the dragon from, I think it's, Fairnair. And then I've got the case that goes with it. So you end up having the dragons. They kind of end up completing each other. You put one way and the other one the other way, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of the fun stuff I've got from silver. And then, the other thing I have been doing is picking up these guys, they're still in their container, but buffaloes, gold buffaloes. So we'll probably have a few of those too. But that's basically what. Oh, I got a couple more. Sorry, I missed these guys out. Did I receive your email, Joseph, about the constitutional law that can prohibit the IRS from taxing bullion? I did. So I'm going to try to do some more research on that to get everything on that law and be able to start talking about that. I shared an article with Andy Schectman today that came out of Forbes that another friend sent me that talked about Janet Yellen starting to recognize that gold is starting to replace the dollar. So I think that the U.S. government's starting to be aware of what's happening. What'll be interesting to do is to see if the U.S. starts buying gold or not, because we have not been doing that. All the other central banks, but the Federal Reserve have been doing that. Our Fed seems to just be buying U.S. debt. And Andy has an answer for a debt jubilee, and it's not what you guys think. It's going to be really cool once I get that video edited for you guys. There's John F. Kennedy, man on the moon. I know everybody here probably believes that the man did walk on the moon. I'm just kidding. A lot of you guys don't, but there's that. More elephants. I don't know where all these guys have come from. Another one of those, Noah's Ark, which is really cool looking. And I think you can get this in much bigger sizes too. So China is buying tons of silver and telling its people to do the same. So that's pretty cool. By the way, if any of you guys want to come up on the live stream with me, let me know, and I will. I'll put the invite into the chat, and you guys can jump on here with me. Now, this is one of the coolest coins that I've seen come out, and I wish I could have picked up the 5-ouncer. And then they also have one, I think, that's gilded in gold. But this one's really cool, this King Cobra. 1 ounce cash. And where's this one from? St. Helena. So they do some pretty cool stuff, too. That one's pretty sweet. And it looks like they have a kilo in Noah's Ark as well. So I think that's a pretty cool one, guys, to grab. And then the last ones I have are these guys. Goddess Europa, 1 ounce. And this is just a portion of what we're going to be bringing to the show. Have you guys gone to any shows? Let me know if you guys have gone to any shows. Neil wants to come on if I talk about platinum. We can do that. Here, we'll talk about platinum for sure. So there's the link if you guys want to, if any of you want to pop in here for a few minutes. But that's honestly what I got going, and one other little Beskar deal. We'll have other bars there. We'll have other silver there too. And honestly, this is kind of our first like official show that we're doing. I'm going to have a big banner there. I just picked up a bunch of raffle tickets and a fish bowl. So we will be doing some giveaways. And anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty fun. And, you know, it's always tricky when you're doing these things because what's the spot price going to be on, you know, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Now, I love Eagles. They're probably I guess they are my favorite coin to stack. And I like Type 1s a lot better than the Type 2s. I just really like the back of them. So I've got 3 of these 2015s. I really probably won't sell any of my backdated ones. Plus, they don't have any chips in them. You guys have followed that whole fiasco. I don't think there's chips in Type 1, in Type 2s either. I do have Type 2s, but I just like the look of these a little bit better, the backdated ones. So those I usually don't sell those. All right, I've got Neil here. So he's already got something up to share with us. So let's see. Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I've gone and told OC I was supposed to have gone down there with y'all to the Long Beach show, but I got a job coming up and I haven't worked hardly any this year and I can't miss this job. So
hey, no problem.
I'll have to make it to another one.
Well, I was trying to get Nick out here to do the show too. She lives about as far as anybody in the U.S. can live from me. Maybe someone in Guam's a little farther. I don't know. It's maybe the same distance, but she wasn't able to make it either. So hopefully this show goes really well and we decide to do more of them. And then I'm hoping that she'll come out. So Neil, tell me, are you picking up silver or gold, or are you stacking mostly osmium and platinum right now?
I'm picking up a little bit of silver, but I actually working a lot. I've been trying to get 1 gram of platinum just to keep in, because it's real cheap getting one gram of platinum, and at the price.
Oh, you're breaking up on us.
$1,000 an ounce, and I didn't buy a whole bunch of it. So I'm concentrating on osmium.
I agree. You know, I was looking at I was heavily considering buying some more platinum. Well, at the time I was looking to buy more platinum when it was at about $900 spot. And it's gone up quite a bit right now. I didn't see where it went today, but I know it's been jumping.
It's somewhere around there. I haven't seen it myself, but it's about the same as it was yesterday.
It looks like we're at about 1,024 for it.
Oh, it dropped.
So it's still a good price, guys. I mean, anything around $1,000 bucks, I think, is a good price for platinum. And
here's what you got.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing that I just discovered, because I stay up with the political stuff on my channel, and the ACN, I'm not exactly sure if that's the right acronym, the ruling party of South Africa that's been in power for 30 years, caused all of their problems, just lost power.
I saw that. What do you think that's going to do? What do you think that means for South Africa, and also for any kind of mining or metals that they get out of that country? Neil, I can't hear you. I don't know if your connection might be bad.
Regain power, you know.
Okay. Could you repeat that? It wasn't coming through.
It depends on how and what concessions the ruling party makes to keep power, because they still have 2%, but they needed like 50 plus. So they don't have to make a lot of concessions, but they do have to make concessions for the first time in 30 years to maintain power. And that's the first step to losing power, is having to concede some of it to someone else. So there is going to be massive changes coming.
I think there's going to be massive changes there. We've seen what's going on in Argentina, and
I love what's happening there.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going on there. My Bitcoin friends are really excited about what's going on in El Salvador, where that country and president has accepted, Bitcoin as a form of exchange.
Yeah.
So one of my friends just got off a beach.
Isn't it a national currency now?
It's a national currency now, and I think they had a beach named Bitcoin Beach. So my Bitcoin friends are all over that. And one thing that I think is interesting is a lot of the philosophies that people that stack Bitcoin pretty heavily are fairly similar to a lot of precious metal stackers. It's just in a different way. A lot of precious metal stackers are looking to, maintain wealth and to secure things, and we like to kind of hold our own stuff, and we see it as a way to kind of take control of our own destiny. That's an awesome looking wave there.
I figured you'd like that picture.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you real quick too. What's funny is when I surf, I've got a lot of health issues, so I primarily surf longboard.
That's the only way to surf, man.
So that's how I surf. I've got a 9.6 board. I'm only 5'6", maybe 5'7" if I'm standing up straight all the way. But I love longboarding, and depending on the wave sets in down here in Southern California, they're great, or you end up having to cut pretty fast and just ride the side of it. But longboarding is what I enjoy. It's more fun. Yep. You can stay on the waves a little bit longer. But I think it's awesome. What's funny though is I think a lot of people are anticipating that I'm surfing these 30-foot Mavericks waves.
No. No. There's two ways to surf. You rip it up, or you rip the wave, or you respect the wave. Longboarding's respecting the wave, and short boards are just ripping it up. And it's a different attitude, different mentality.
It is.
people who longboard seem to have more of a calm interior.
I think so. I'd agree to that. But I love doing that. I'm excited to get back out again. I have to wait for it to warm up a little bit, and we're just starting to hit that now. We actually had a bunch of jellyfish up on the beach about 2-3 weeks ago. Maybe I think it was 3 weeks ago that washed up, which is crazy. They're little blue guys. So
you gotta watch it. Those colorful ones can be poisonous.
They're kind of more of like a
bioluminescent
like man-o'-war.
Yeah, that's poisonous.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Yeah, the small ones that are colorful are usually the most poisonous, actually.
Yeah. No, OSC stackers, stay away. Don't ask that.
I'm not even looking at chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, hey, by the way, while we're in here, any of you guys that have your own channel, feel free to put your channel link in the comments and share that. This is just kind of a fun little session we're doing. So, I don't have any platinum right now. I sold my platinum at about $1,150, $1,200, and I had bought it around. I bought them at spot, so I think I bought them at $1,000 spot, and I needed the money at the time. And
yeah,
so,
that's a good thing. You made money.
It is a good thing. So I'm looking to probably pick up some more. I don't have any of it right now, so I'm going to be looking to see what's happening at the show. Can I find a good deal on it? And just so you guys are aware of, I've had a few people reach out to me now that I'm doing a channel to help them move gold and silver. And it is something I can help do. If you guys are local, it's even better. If not, there's, fees for shipping stuff around. But recently we were able to help a channel member be able to use the gold to silver ratio to sell some silver when the ratio was at about 74. I think it was at 74.2, and he wanted to get some gold. We were able to help him get a really good deal on it. So, don't give up on the gold to silver ratio. Do look at it, pay attention to it. I think the other thing to look at is kind of that platinum to gold ratio too, or I don't hear of that officially being called out by anybody, but look to see what that looks like. When you start to see platinum starting to move up faster and higher than gold, we may be onto something. It's also going to be more dependent on what the economy does. So it definitely is riskier than just a gold buy. But historically, it's significantly further down. And as I have on my platinum videos, I don't know if you've seen those, Nils.
Yeah.
But, we talk about platinum is technically worth twice as much as gold, according to the U.S. Mint.
And history.
Why it's valued higher, right? And historically. Some will even argue that it's worth 4 times as much. So
I think I have the reason that the timing matches. Well, South Africa joined BRICS around the same time as the price of platinum started to invert with gold for the first time in history, because back in 2008, March of 2008, platinum was $2,230 an ounce and gold was like $1,011. It was well over double gold's price. And South Africa, oddly enough, everyone seems to forget that they're visionaries and can see the futures. So they knew they had lots of need for platinum, and they got South Africa into BRICS. And if you research the reasons that they used to bring South Africa into BRICS, it says because they have gold, platinum, and diamonds. And if you look at those 3 resources, the only resource that's not available anywhere else is platinum, because gold is, a lot of countries have it, and like 3 or 4 countries have diamonds. So that's not unique to South Africa, but platinum is. And if you look at China this year, needing to buy, what is it, like 200,000 ounces, or no, 2.4 million ounces of platinum so that they can make these new hybrid biodiesel hydrogen engines. I could see where they would rather buy them at $1,000 an ounce over $4,000 to $5,000 an ounce, because the profit margin obviously is great by doing that. And if you research what China does on the One Belt Road Initiative, and Italy can validate this, the country of Italy, every country that signs on that One Belt Road Initiative basically goes bankrupt because they get the worst end of the deal. And that's why Italy backed out of it after a year. It was a prohibition period of joining, and they said, no, we were losing too much money, we're backing out of it, it's a no good deal. So every country that's involved with China ends up going bankrupt. And if you look at South Africa now, they only have power for half of the day throughout the country, 50% of the time. And the reason for that is because China scuffed off and screwed over Australia on a coal deal. And South Africa buys their coal from China. So when China didn't have enough to sell to South Africa, they got screwed by their partner. And that affected the mining and affected everything else. Last year, Impala Mines and Angola Mines lowered production by 15%. Those are the two largest platinum miners in South Africa, lowered production by 15%. This year, they lowered it by another 7%. And earlier on in the year, I got a email from Impala, and they were asking their employees for voluntary layoffs because the platinum price is below the cost to manufacture it, because they have to go 2,000 meters underground. That vein is almost tapped out. It's not 500 meters.
It's not like silver where it's sitting at the top.
No, it costs a lot of money to pump oxygen
a lot more
meters.
Just to put it into form and to refine it. It's much trickier metal.
And it's really expensive. And since the change of government 30 years ago, they didn't put money back in the infrastructure. And I actually did a video over a 10-year time span. South Africa lost like $5 billion in their gold industry because of mismanagement.
That's true. So to your point, though, I do think I think we're going to go into a period here of time where they realize that solar panels are not very efficient, right? They can only get them up to like 20%, and that's a big deal. And that's only barely happened where they can exceed 20%, and we're talking like 20 point whatever percent that came up. I know Northwestern had made some kind of a breakthrough this year. I also think we're going to realize that EVs aren't very efficient on their own, and they just don't have the capacity to store as much as we want them to. Plus, they're heavy. All my roads out here are getting destroyed with the rains we've had over the last 2 years. We have a lot of Teslas around, and a lot of people will buy the 6,000-pound Teslas like the Model X or the Cybertrucks. We're starting to see a lot of those around, and Raptors, which are not EVs, but they're heavy. They do that so they can do the write-offs and have their car be not amortized, but depreciated in 1 year. And we're starting to get potholes in Southern California in the roads. It's a combination of rain and it's a combination of heavy cars, in my opinion, because we haven't had those a few years ago. But to your point, I think the future of it is hydrogen cars, and I think it's some kind of a fuel cell type car, which is still going to be using some battery technology, but it's going to have much longer range, and that uses a lot more platinum than EVs use.
Yep.
And I do think we're going to see some hype from that. But let's just talk current situation. My conversation with Andy today, we talked about what's happening in the COMEX. So there's definitely some issues going on in the COMEX where we're seeing a lot of draining that's going on. And so we may end up seeing silver be the first metal to really break out, which could be interesting. Do we see it get up to go up in price and go down to like a ratio of 40 or below 40, gold to silver ratio? And then do we see it starting to pull gold and the other metals with it? Is an interesting thing that could happen. What are some of the catalysts that you see that you're looking for on platinum?
Okay, on platinum, we have a player. We have. I'm older, so I'm going to use Emmitt Smith. We have a star player like Emmitt Smith sitting on the sideline in North America, waiting to take over the platinum supply to the world as soon as the price goes up.
Okay.
So,
how much time do you think like me has to start buying some platinum if I want to do that?
Oh wow! Well, wow. It's cyclical like every other market. It goes, like I said, back in 2008, it was $2,230. What is the price now? So it obviously goes up and down significantly, well over 60% over time. But we are coming into an economic time, a world economic time, where things actually are kind of different, and it will actually affect prices along with supply and demand, because at this point in time, they're kind of sort of running low on their supply in South Africa of platinum. So the combination of these unique factors coming together, I could see the price of platinum going back to its historic double of gold. But after that, it, you know, depending on if there's any more manipulation, they've proven they can manipulate it. So if there is any more manipulation, which there probably will be if we go to a hydrogen fuel cell engine, it'll fall back down just like everything else. So I think long term, if it's doing generational wealth, you shouldn't even be thinking about it, because when I was let's say 30 years ago, you know, gold is like $200-300. If I'd have been buying for generational wealth, boy, I'd be well in the way of being wealthy now, wouldn't I? And price wouldn't have mattered then, because I wouldn't be buying for the price. I'd be buying for the generation. And if you look at the meaning of generation, that's at least 20 years. So what you got to do when you're looking at buying is, how much is it going to be in 20 years? And would you have been better off buying it now over then? And the answer will always be yes. So buy it. I mean, it's the principle of what you're getting it for.
You know, here's a fun coin that I just found. It's an 1870 Spanish coin, silver coin. Nice and, you know, basically not really circulated, but toned. That's pretty cool. But anyway, you know, people could have been stacking these since 1870. And, you know, back then it'd be $1 that people were paying for. and over time, I mean, I look at it and I've only been stacking really since about, like, I started officially stacking in 2021. Prior to that, I had been getting some gold, some silver from my dad for a couple years in a row. As a kid, I used to have silver eagles and I got rid of them. And I had $50 and I got rid of them. I used them at the store, not really knowing what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But now that I look at it, I wish I was stacking since, you know, 2000 and the end of the 90s. It would have made a big difference.
Exactly. 20 years ago.
It's huge. But here's the thing. We have that opportunity right now too. We've printed so much money, and we're also in the process of doing quantitative easing. At some point, the Fed's going to lower the interest rates again to try to either help with elections to get the current administration reelected, or because they'll come under pressure from the administration, or we're going to get to the point where we have to lower rates because things would just get super crazy. And you really kind of go into two different main scenarios. One's going to be a depression, or you go into hyperinflation. Those are kind of opposites. And he discusses a third option that I hadn't heard of before, but I'll leave that for the video when that comes out. But to me, those are really the two things that we look at. And I think the country's going to, or at least the government's going to, go for hyperinflation over going into a depression. And so, you know, what's going to be interesting there is things like our houses, our real estate. We may not see a big real estate crash officially where the price goes down, the nominal price of your real estate goes down. But what we could see is, what if your house stays relatively flat or only goes up 5%, but we see, like, say 25% inflation? You know, you'd be losing 20% a year in the house value. So it'd be like it going down 20%.
You wouldn't. What would be the purpose of buying a house? Purchasing a house, renting, yes. Yeah. Purchasing at that point in time, it's negligible.
But here's what gets tricky that no one talks about, and I need to do a little more research on this. But let's say, I'll just take it for round numbers. A lot of houses are expensive down here. Let's say you own a house that's $1 million in Texas, for example, where you may have higher property taxes. What can be very dangerous with the house, and this is where I think it's a good play for precious metals to shore up your property, is what if that house, through inflation, continues to go up and the property taxes continue to go up? And let's say property taxes go up higher percentage-wise than your income goes up. And same with the cost of everything else around you. You could very easily get priced out of your lifestyle. So your standard of living goes way down. But if you have things like silver, you know, if you've got a Charlie Brown coin, it might save you.
It is very possible that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that scenario is the best scenario for the government.
So here's a comment from Gerald Draper. I'll just throw up too. So Ray Dalio has a really cool video that I posted as a response to Yankee's comment from my post earlier today on the Forbes article. And I purposely didn't put too much in there. I just said, you guys should read this Forbes article. he kind of ranted on that. So did a few others. I think Craig had a good answer in there too. I wasn't agreeing with them by any means, but it was interesting to see an article written up about Janet Yellen being concerned about gold and about what's happening to the dollar. And then you've got these crypto and Bitcoin pumpers that come out of the woodwork and say, hey, this is a sign that, you know, Bitcoin's going to outpace gold and replace it. I don't think that's going to happen. However, if it does happen, get ready for someone to rug pull Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think it's not the tool that everybody thinks it is from a long time ago. It is something that's now controlled and watched and manipulated, and people think it's not possible, but it is. And I don't want to go into all the details on that today. But one of the things that came up was kind of talking a little bit about this type of a scenario is, how do you shore it up? Well, if you have an ounce of gold and we start to see the COMEX and silver go down, and then we start to see concerns about paper gold. Mark Moss is another local guy here that has a much bigger channel. I think he's around 500,000 subscribers. He is really heavy into Bitcoin. I haven't watched him as much lately because of that. He's kind of moved away from gold, but he does have some good points that he makes. He's saying that gold should be $77,000 based on how much paper gold is out there and what the current amount of gold is we have in Fort Knox, if that's real. And it's not just Fort Knox, guys. I know there's other facilities, but I'll just say Fort Knox in general. If we were to see that to happen, yes, I think there would be inflation. I think the cost of goods goes up. But if you're not holding gold, I think you're going to have a really hard time buying things that you're used to buying. So I can't guarantee you gold's going to make you rich, but I can, at least I can tell you that my belief is that gold's going to save you from losing your purchasing power. It's just a matter of time when it happens. But Jared Drapel says trifecta: hyperinflation, depression, war, pushing famine next, as they have alternative food solutions ready to rock. So I think there's a strong possibility that what we see this year is some kind of a cyber attack. They've talked about it. We could have a banking issue that comes up, or just a financial issue that comes up. And then I think there's a high probability of having some major famine issues next year. We've seen way too many farms burning up in the country that produce mass amounts of livestock and food, and all that could be bad. So I would definitely say get water, get food, get some silver, get some gold. To me, platinum's a little bit more of an investment than it is a metal you're probably going to barter with.
Oh yeah, you will not be bartering with platinum.
I just don't think you're going to barter with it. I mean, you may find someone that'll do it, another stacker, but
if you come see me, you know. But.
Yeah, if you find me, I'll totally take it. And then a few of you guys are going to be bartering the osmium, right? So I'm hoping OC has his osmium to show at the show coming up here.
So do I.
So I'm hoping he has that. I know you guys are working on some projects together, which I think would be really cool. And I'm curious to kind of see how that goes. But I think it's awesome. And they usually take you to war. That's kind of what Ray Dalio shows in that link I sent to, or I just commented back on Yankees post, is we're in a currency cycle of diminishing, where we're going down, and the next, world power is going to come up. And everybody thinks it's China. It could actually end up being India. They could surprise us if China goes into enough of a problem.
It'll surprise you guys.
But it could happen. But I think we're gonna end up in some kind of a war situation. That's usually what happens. The power the country that's in power, the U.S. will try to keep its power, and at the end of the day, they try to fight before the other guys come up to see if they can usurp it. But we've already kind of lost this dominance. The other countries don't want to hold our T-bills, and as long as they stop buying our debt, we're in trouble.
That's the global way right now. We're leaving a globalist agenda, going back to nationalism. And we're going to go back to probably like a World War II type of, as far as control, we're backing away from a lot because we're getting away from globalism, as is every country out there. On my shows I do on the African countries, there's been 7 or 8 African countries that will agree with everything I just said, because they've had coups to make it that way. That we're leaving the globalists' control and going to nationalism. And that's also why I say CDBC will never happen worldwide. And this is, again, because we're going nationalist, more nationalism. And again, back to these African countries, they've already, the presidents or the coup leader now presidents have stated they will never be held slaves again. They're coming up with their own currency because the nation's currency is their sovereignty. So they see things a lot different than we do. So everyone here in America, every time I see someone say, oh, CBDC, CBDC, yeah, okay, keep pushing it. But it's only going to be in the countries that allow it. And there's a lot of countries that won't. So there will always be a cash money, because there is going to be a CBDC, because every country's not going to accept it. They're going to want to accept gold, silver, some other commodity, or a solid backed bill of that country. And as Trump said, we're sitting on $63 trillion of resources. We could back our monetary system with our own oil and still have a petrodollar. But
we have so much oil that's untapped.
It's oh my God. Thank you.
We do. I mean, there's a ton in Alaska.
Very few people know that we have more gold, more oil than Saudi Arabia. We've been using up their stockpile to put us in a position to continue to be economic world leaders into the future. Because everyone, and here's back to the car thing. We're going to be following the Japanese principle. We finally got on board with their principle that they tried selling to the world a long time ago, of not having just a one power source go to, because everyone was pushing just EV, and all these governments were giving concessions for that. But what Japan did is they said, and statistically they were proven correct. If you offer 3 or 4 power plants in a vehicle for people, you will get less people choosing the carbon engine, greenhouse gas producing engine, and they'll go for the other 3 choices. And the number will be reduced of people using the gas cars, because they have more choices and they're not just pushed on electric. And Japan's followed that, and now we are also going to start following that. So as I've said in some of my videos, you're going to have it in about 4 years. You're going to go to a car dealership and say, wow, I've got 4 different engine types. You're going to have and Cummins diesel engine no longer produces that engine. They're now, and have been since last year, producing a hydrogen hybrid biodiesel Cummins engine. So the transformation's already happened. It's just not been advertised.
So we'll get back to 949's question here in a second, but I want to hit this one first. So kind of going with what you're mentioning too, is what's interesting is I think if the current administration, which seems to be aligned with the World Economic Forum, if they continue to be in power, I foresee a CBDC coming out this year next year. If they think they're going to lose power, they may try to rush it out this year. I've heard that it's already ready to go. What's going to be interesting, though, is to see, does the world push back? Do the countries go into more nationalism and fight the globalists? And all of a sudden we see self-sovereign, countries being more self-sovereign to themselves. And we could see a big slew of countries starting to back their currencies to stop inflation with hard commodities, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
The other scenario is we could see countries that, Andy talks about this on the video today, or at least alludes to it. We could see something like a cryptocurrency come out that's backed by gold, that is called the US dollar. It's just a digital version of it. And it'll be interesting to see, based on who's in power, if we see a true CBDC that's still fiat based, or do we see some kind of a hybrid where you have a digital currency? Because technically everything you have in the bank is digital currency anyway. There's not very many dollars held. But do we see something like that gets backed by gold? And are we still allowed to freely exchange gold and silver and platinum, or do we have a confiscation again and they say you can't have coins?
Well,
there's a lot of things at play there, and a lot of it's going to depend on who's in charge, on what they try to do.
And another thing you got to think of, after saying all that, go back to your statement of this one guy saying he thinks gold should be at 77,000 dollars. Oh, okay. He didn't say 77,000 CBDC or 77,000. So people are still on the mindset, even if gold is reset. And the government of China and America have stated, I think China gave out a number of like 71,000 an ounce is what gold needed to be reset out. And America said 68,000 on backwater talks that they were having about what to do. And that's probably what we're going through, is a reset of that. most likely, but time will tell. But if they reset, what are they resetting to? Okay, so they're going to reset gold to the dollar, but the dollar is going to be what? A CDBC,
Well,
so it's not going to be a dollar.
Well,
I
that's the
think what's going to happen is the SWIFT system. They want to get rid of the SWIFT system and get to a better system. And if you look at the Treasury Department, about 6 years ago, they signed contracts with crypto companies called XLM, Algo, and actually for tracking purposes, the country of Ethiopia signed a deal with Cardano to track their students for future possible loans based off of scores in their schooling. So if you're worried about tracking, worry about ADA, because they're the ones who got a government contract. Which, by the way, if any crypto has a government contract, technically it's no longer a crypto because they are highly regulated with that government contract and no longer decentralized and all this other stuff. But what they were going for, what the Treasury Department was going for in their contracts with XLM and Algo, and I believe there was one other company they contracted with, but I'm not sure. But they were going for a digital replacement of the SWIFT system. We're going to keep our dollar, but we're replacing the credit system and the SWIFT system, because that's even what Russia and everyone is opposing, is that system. And everyone's taking it out of context, saying, oh, they're opposing dollar. It's not the dollar. It's the SWIFT system that they're using to transact that we're hitting them on.
Well, it's actually, it's also the T-bills, right?
It's the process we're changing, not the bills, the process.
It is, but what we're also doing is we're seizing their dollars, or we're seizing the T-bills.
Yeah, and they also know that that's a 4-year thing.
I know
they see our country too.
It's a combination of those things that's making them not want to buy more of them, right? They're wanting to start moving away from it. So, to your point,
it's a globalist bill. The United States dollar is the world reserve. We're getting rid of world reserves. There will never be another world reserve.
There may be more, right? Not one.
There's going to be 6 or 7 of them, in my personal opinion, throughout the world, because we're going more nationalism, and there's going to be more, for lack of a better word, sector control of economies in regions, and we only have Canada and Mexico, that's our region, we don't have New Guinea or, France. They're not our region, so they're going to have a money system. India's already gone to the IMF
for sure. So to your point, though, I think what's going to happen, like we've got Fed now, which allows us to go off of SWIFT. There's a lot of issues with SWIFT because of what's happened recently. I'm hearing things that cryptocurrencies like XRP could be potentially used to move between digital currencies, but I think the reality is. And the dollar. I think the reality is we're moving away from a global system into national systems where we're going to have to figure out how to get them to talk to each other. And it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But there is a movement towards trying to digitize and tokenize things. I see why they're doing that. I don't agree with most of it. As you start to tokenize things, it gets really tricky. Are they going to try to tokenize these? I don't know. I think that would be pretty hard to do.
You come up with the same problem you do with paper money, ownership, actual ownership.
You do. So I'm not a big fan of that, but I know there's a lot of talk around that. Where I see tokenization potentially working is things like titles to a house, being able to have it on the blockchain instead of a title company. There may be some use cases for that stuff.
And they're probably going to use the argument of they've lost all the mortgages because they've bundled and sold them so many times. After you pay your house off, you can't get your mortgage because they don't know where the hell it is.
There's that, but the one thing I can tell you is privacy is pretty much dead.
I could see a tokenized a house note for not mortgage, but what's deed, a tokenized deed for a house, for houses and land. I could easily see that happening. It'd be easier for the government to keep track of. Totally much easier.
It's true. So up here, let me see if I can find what 949 said earlier. We'll have to look into this. I don't know much about this. I'll have to go do some real research on this. But if you guys find an article, send me an email on it. That'd be great. But there's a lot of crazy stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So I think the reality is things are going to get a little, quite a bit.
Oh, they're going to get crazy. They're going to get cuckoo crazy, bro.
Right. And then, I don't see us backing anything with gold until we're forced to. So we could see, as Andy talks about, the BRICS coming in first. We could see a problem with the COMEX and with the paper gold and silver causing a lot of issues. At some point, though, we are going to have to revalue the price of gold and silver based on our current currency, whatever that ends up being. I'm sure they'll call it the dollar. But when they go to do that, that's when the metals are going to go up significantly. The question is going to be, do you end up richer, or do you just end up kind of being able to buy the same stuff you could and everybody else is poor?
Well,
one of the two things that's going to happen.
Is that the question, or is the real question, don't we have to cooperate with the whole world to do that price reevaluation?
You don't have to cooperate with the whole world, but it is going to affect what they do. And so my guess is they'll do it first. And
then you're going to have arbitrage issues, and the first country that raises the price too high is going to lose money.
It is. And then what's going to happen when someone else comes along and raises it further? And we're going to have
when's that economic war end, and at what price? And what's it look like?
Well, but here's the other thing too, is there's a difference between pegging to gold and backing with gold. So the currencies that back completely one-to-one with gold are going to be the ones that have the ability to kind of dictate what they're doing. And they'll be able to push prices of other currencies up or down. If you just peg it to gold, it doesn't really help you with the price discovery of it. But what it does do is it kind of locks you in based on your gold, but you could still get pushed up or down because you are not pegged one-to-one. And so other countries that come in that are pegged one-to-one are going to continue to have more value over your currency. It's going to push you down. So
we got to watch out for those African countries. We're going to have to watch out for those African countries that are backing their new dollar, their new bills with gold.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny to see some of these countries that have been just seen as third world nations?
That's why I'm doing my reports, man. I see West Africa being like a gold rush. I mean, they're going to be so prosperous with what they're doing, the reorganization of business and contracts and trade, and it's going to be like, I don't know, man. I see great prosperity in Central West Africa coming real soon, and around the Ethiopia area, because they're bringing power. And once you bring power to places that haven't had power, that's opportunity. That's why we did the railroads. The power lines followed the railroads, and then towns appeared. If you have power, then you have towns appear. If you look at Africa, all their power, I think they have 6 nuclear plants being put up, and like Ethiopia's got the largest dam in the world almost finished. They're going to be these pieces are going to be exporting power all over Africa. And then you look at this new startup, speaking of power, and I've also spoke about this, is the SMRs, small modular reactors. There's a company in America, a startup company. It takes 1 year to build this thing. They've already contracted and completed 25 small modular reactors for companies and countries in Eastern Europe. So when people are worried about power problems, it's not going to be that big a deal for those megawatt generating SMRs that are already in operation, which are 25 of them. Well, that's huge.
We haven't done crap. California hasn't built a new power plant. Right?
California. Oh boy. Yeah.
We shut everything down. So
we're in the worst area, bro.
It's bad. So, this is where I go away from conspiracy theory to just it's a conspiracy. It's not a theory anymore.
Yeah, just look outside your window, bro.
Everything that's being done by the government right now is crazy. It's not what you do when you want to build up a country and make it stronger, right?
Absolutely not.
It's exactly what you do when you want to take the most strong country and destroy it so that you can have it be kind of average and then try to get all the other countries together. So this is why I say the Second Amendment is the most important thing to keep in place. For protecting the world. Once the Second Amendment's gone, the First Amendment dies, and our country has too many powerful weapons to fall into the hand of a crazy dictator that's going to go crazy wild and try to take over the planet. And so I've been
talking with Pinky and the Brain about coming up with some sort of plan for just that.
Well, for that reason, I just don't see God allowing that to happen. It would be too devastating for the planet. So I think what we're going to see is a change here. There's going to be good days ahead of us, and there's going to be some pretty bad days ahead of us too. right now what we're going through is some weird transition time. We're kind of flushing out all the bad people. And I think this year is going to be very interesting. So, for everybody out there, kind of watch that. I did see this today too. So one of my friends sent me a note this morning that you could buy Berkshire Hathaway A stock for $185 per share. It had just dropped 99.97% from $168,000 or so.
Speaking about hacking wars, huh?
Yeah. So they went down. A few others, I think, went down too. Obviously, that was some kind of a inside hack. Not inside hack, a cyber attack, most likely at some point. And what I'm seeing is more and more testing. The FBI keeps coming out and warning about cyber attacks. So, for you guys, if we go offline for a while, we'll be back on. We'll be making videos during that time too. And I say we, as a community of stackers, like, content's still going to get created as long as we've got electricity. And I don't see EMPs coming in anytime soon. I think if that happens, it's something down the road. Right now, it would be more like probably intentionally turning things off to stop information from going around. And I talked to my crypto friends, and they say there's no way the internet can be turned off. There's no way the electricity can be turned off. Guys, it is created. It can be turned off. There's switches everywhere.
I actually saw a show yesterday. Those major transmission lines that you see going across America. If you go to Google and you see large swaths of land, just straight lines, if you zoom in, you see these big power poles. Take out a couple of those and you just cut off power.
You cut off a lot of stuff. There's actually 6 major substations in the country that if you take those out, if you blow them up, for example, it would take 2 years to build them. They're massive. They come in many parts, and they have to come from overseas. We don't make them here. And we don't have backup parts. So you take out those 6 or a combination of them, you're gone. You don't need EMPs to do it. And if you do an EMP, you're most likely going to get wasted by all of the submarines and carrier groups we have and bases stationed around the country, or around the world. So probably not a good idea. Now, cyber attack, if we're doing stuff to China and it's not being reported, or to Russia, or we decide NATO goes in on Russia, they could cyber attack us. Those guys know how to hack a lot of stuff. It's come out in the news already that China is in every major government system we have, and they're just sitting there. So do get ready for that. I think that's probably going to be, something to do potentially with banking, something to do with communications, something to do with water has come up. And then the other thing would be power. They hit any of those major systems for a period of time, and it's going to cripple us. So, get your own stuff. This silver is great, right? This is good. It's going to help you guys stay in the game, but you can't eat this stuff. I've tried. You can't eat it.
Get to know your neighbors that you live beside right now and consider them community. Because if the power does go out, it doesn't matter who you know online. You need to worry about the people next to you, and that's who you need to be befriending.
I agree. Another coin I just want to show you guys is we got another coin up. This is one of my favorite coins.
Nice.
So I love ship coins, and this one has the Constitution on the back of it. And it was made in, 1973 out of Provo, Utah. So anyway, I'm not aware of any mint that's there anymore, so it must have shut down. But there's a bunch of these coins going around. And I was picking these up for $27 at the Arcadia coin show last year. Those are great. And then I'll show you one other one that I think is really fun. I think I got these from Guido Stacking, one of his. It's just a wheat penny in silver. That looks really nice. There you go. So that's kind of fun silver there. But anyway, I think we got a lot of crazy stuff coming. You guys, I'm going to just put it out there. If you don't have a month's worth of water and a month's worth of food, go focus on that right now.
Exactly. Fill your pantries.
Have stuff ready. And if you've got multiple family members, make sure you have enough for everybody. My rule of thumb is to get yourself to 6 months to a year's worth of food, and then you don't have to worry about stuff. In water, if you can get to about a month is good. I recently added a bunch of 160-gallon water tanks into my garage. So I think we can go like 3 months now on water. And we don't have lakes and rivers here. And the rainwater has a bunch of aluminum in it now. So with all the cloud seeding they're doing here in Southern California. But I do have a way of filtering my neighbors' pools. I do not have a pool. But, you know, make sure you've got ways of drinking, purification, you know, food storage. You can do that. I would definitely do that before you go crazy stacking. And then when you're stacking, kind of my rule of thumb is I like to have about $100 face per person of constitutional silver. And then, you know, goals that I've had is 1,000 ounces of silver and trying to get to 20 ounces of gold. I've heard some people say 50 ounces of gold, 100 ounces of gold. It really doesn't matter. The key is to take care of your family temporarily with food and water, and then start securing your wealth. If you don't have any wealth, don't worry about gold. Go for silver and start stacking that. If you have wealth, if you've owned a house and you've got a lot of equity in it, it's probably a good idea to have some gold to offset that. But those are goals, right? Our goals change. We go after different things. For me right now, I think it's a time to be heavier in the metals than in the past. A lot of people might have been 3 or 5%. I'm seeing people doing more like 20 to 50% now. And I don't think that's a bad idea. If you need the income and you're not working and you have assets, be very careful about taking your assets out and losing your income stream. The silver does not, no matter how hard you rub these together, they're not going to make two, you know, and if two of them aren't going to make three. You're not going to get a third coin out of these things. So be careful. Don't go extreme and, you know, pull everything out, but do talk to your financial planner or advisor if you've got one. You know, advisors are better than planners. Planners tend to want to just put you in the stock market. OC brings up another one here too, is, you know, ammunition's always good to have as well. But I also say don't go too crazy overboard with any given thing. Ammunition can be good for bartering, but, you know, unless you're planning on being in a recruit in the Army and having to fend off a lot of people, you don't need to go too crazy with having, you know, tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition and things like that. And I do know people that have that. But you know, don't go crazy with it. You also don't need to have so much gold and silver that you put yourself into debt. I do think paying off your debt's important. If you have no debt, you have no creditors. You're always going to have to pay property taxes with your home. So make sure you can shore that up, and it can never be perfect. A few people are asking about the dinar. So yeah, that's the Iraqi currency, but there's some games that I'm hearing maybe getting played with the dinar, you know, pretty soon here that could be messing with that. I wouldn't really for me, I'm not going to mess with other countries' currencies. That's not my thing. Gold and silver is a good base for everything. You know, if you're planning on going out of the country and you need to be able to have money by you, that is one use case for cryptocurrencies, at least in the short term. If you've got your thumb drive, you can take it with you, your treasure or whatever you might have. If you're out of country and you think you might need a bunch of money, you've got that ability. But I really wouldn't play with other currencies because there's a lot of manipulation that's going on. And so honestly, what we're in is a war between globalism and nationalism. And globalism has been winning heavily until I think this year, and now it's starting to lose ground. And this next election, I think, is going to be the most important because it's going to determine whether we go into nationalism or if we go into full-on globalism.
Actually, I think there's 57 countries around the world that they're being looked at for that exact reason.
They are, and that's where we're going at. Now, if nationalism wins, and then you start not hearing a whole lot about the World Economic Forum, and we don't hear a lot about ESG, and we don't hear a lot about the war on, you know, the green energy war and all that stuff. Expect it to come back, but expect it to come back in a more subversive and secretive way. So if we don't see a CBDC, it doesn't mean it's disappeared. It's never coming back. They're just going to figure out a new name for it. And they create some reason for us to be begging for it. And I don't mean people listening to this now, but, you know, people in general.
Well, I could see a way through just our advancement that we would need a digital currency like that as soon as we go to And I know people scoff at this, but as soon as we do any kind of space operations and have people permanently based in space for durations, they're still going to need to get paid. And you're not going to send his paycheck up on a spaceship every week, you know? So you're going to put some money digitally. They're going to spend it digitally, and it's going to be digital. So there is going to be a need in the future for a digital. It's just not now. And we do have to be careful when it does come around that it's done right.
Well, if you look at the Bible, if you guys read the Bible and you look at Revelations, it talks about, you know, the way I would interpret it, it sounds like there's one currency that's being used around the world at some point, and it lasts for a period of time and it gets taken out. And so the way to do something like that is most likely going to be a cryptocurrency of some kind. So I think everything's going to be moving more towards that. If you go the route that maybe it's way further out than we think, then you've got people potentially colonizing other planets that would be using currencies, right? And they could be going back and forth and be digital. There's a lot of different possibilities out there of how things could go. What we do know is gold and silver has been money for 6,000 years. We do know that it backs and is still very popular by the bankers. If we ever see the bankers decide, hey, it's not worth anything, and they dump all the gold they've been buying, that will affect price big time. But I just don't see that happening.
Well, one of the reasons we'd go out of space is to get resources such as gold and silver, along with other resources.
Totally. And if we're doing that too, like, I don't see that flooding everything, with too much of the metals that you just can't, it loses value. Like, let's say they came across a comet that had all, it wouldn't be a comet, but an asteroid that has a bunch of gold in it.
Well, how about a second moon?
Or a second moon, but people are going to be, they're going to be smart about how they release that so they don't flood the thing overnight. But hey, what if we had so much gold that everything you own could be, covered in gold?
Well, then you have the same problem they had back in 1855 when the federal government federalized all the gold rush land and stopped the gold rush. We had more gold than we had paper money to back it, and it was going to crush our economy. And I was going to bring that point up about China, because China seems to be buying a lot of gold, and they're selling a lot of fake gold. So they're pulling their fiat currency back into their system, into their government, and a lot of gold. So they might have an issue with having too much gold and not enough cash.
That could totally be an issue for them. And we still have oil. Oil still is a commodity, still has a lot of value. And so you got that whole argument as well. So honestly, I think what we're going to see is a lot of value to the real stuff, to this stuff, to silver and to gold and to copper and base metals. And I think what we're going to start to see is the fiat is just not going to be, it's just not going to have the same desire, value and power that it used to have. And that's going to be disruptive. So, the hard thing is how do you get relatives that don't understand this stuff to consider it? Because I'm having a hard time doing that myself. And, I've got a lot of people that they see the stacking thing and they think it's ridiculous and crazy. You can only help people as much as they'll let you help them. But, some of this, I hope I can help my other family members out with if they just don't get a clue on it. I'm hoping to help versus just letting them, hang out to dry, so to speak.
One way I've been doing, because of crystallized osmium and its use in jewelry, I've been explaining to people a couple, for examples, like the king's crown. It was the queen's crown. It is 150 years old. 150 years ago, it was not worth $2.5 billion when they made it. Back then, it was a lot cheaper. But because they passed it down through generational wealth and time, everything gained value. Now that one of two hats is worth over $2 billion because they passed it down through generations. So if you make a piece of jewelry, specific for yourself that you come up with or whatever, and you pass it down through time, you never really have to sell it because the royals have never sold their crowns, but yet I'm sure they've leveraged them, and you can't leverage what you don't have. And what keeps them in power is their family jewels. And if you use them as a reference, and then you tell people, isn't every man king of his own castle? Well, where's your family jewels? Where's your generational wealth? Are you just going to be, raised servants? And you start getting people think of it, wealth preservation in that manner, and it hits them in a different light other than, oh, gold and silver stocker, prepper, or whatever. And they start thinking about their kids and their kids' kids.
But what's interesting with what you're saying too is, these countries have made it so that it's hard to hold on to your generational wealth, like the U.S.
Yes,
we've
very
had
much
times,
so.
We've had a lot of times where, they basically charged 50% on your wealth tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some proposals to go after anybody that has $100 million, I think is the proposal right now.
And that sucks because I plan on having more than that.
Like 25% on unrealized gains, just crazy talk. But this is usually what happens to societies like this is we get to the point where they basically come after, they start to go after middle class, and they start to take out middle class so that middle class becomes impoverished. I can't even say that. And you get to the point where people are just not able to make their payments. And then what you do is you tell everybody, hey, it's the rich people that are doing it. Let's go after them. And as people start going after the rich people, they start creating new crazy taxes. And then eventually those taxes filter back to everybody else.
Well, also the rich people will take their wealth and go to other countries.
Well, you get that. But like income tax was only meant for the top 1% of the people. So anybody under $1 billion in net worth should not be paying income tax right now. That's not what was set for.
Well, there was a point in time where only landowners could vote as well, and it didn't matter if you're male or female. It was because you're a landowner because you were paying all the tax.
Yep. There's that too. So you run into a lot of these weird things where they're really just trying to make it so that you don't hold on to the family jewels, so to speak, and depend on the system.
It's hold on a second here. It's back to that right there.
There are two places only where socialism will work: in heaven, where it is not needed, and in hell, where they already have it. Yeah, that's true.
That's a direct quote from Winston Churchill. And wasn't he the English prime minister in England, a socialist country?
He was. So
that's what's so ironic about that one.
In our country's fairly socialistic now.
Yes,
it continues to be more and more that way. If we end up going to like a single payer or single provider healthcare system, that's another step closer to it. If we start to get to the point where they don't allow you to have gold and silver anymore, coinage, that's going to be another step towards it. And the final step is really taking the land away. When you no longer own your land, you've gone into full socialism, and socialism ends in two ways: communism or fascism.
Or like what Winston Churchill, it ends in hell.
It does. So, socialism is just a gateway. Democracy is a gateway. Republic is really where you want to be. It's where you have more representation. When you get into true democracy, it's basically anarchy.
That's what it is.
So when I hear all this conversation about certain people are going to destroy our democracy, it's all bullcrap. It's all brainwashing garbage that they're basically feeding to people. It just doesn't make any sense. They're basically trying to scare the regular population that doesn't understand the difference, saying that you're going to lose your rights.
What people need to understand is what Winston Churchill says in this quote.
Yeah, totalitarianism.
Socialism is a philosophy of failure, a creed of ignorance, and a gospel of envy. Its virtual is the equal sharing of misery.
Yep, you get that.
That's
so
socialism.
You don't want any of that. My hope is that we can get enough people that care about the Constitution and the Founding Fathers that the country goes back to that foundation and we get the checks and balances working in the government again.
Yes.
And if we can pull that off, we can save the union, we can save the country. If we don't, we're probably going to have some kind of different organization or different country down the road. I mean, democracies don't usually last more than 200 years. And we're going on 300 years now, getting closer to that mark. And we're starting to fall apart. So, and the sad thing is I've never seen it happen so fast and from inside, but maybe that's how it does happen in a lot of these other places. We just don't have the historical records to prove it.
As long as there's enough of us that stay American and do what we can to keep America, America, we are going to have to come up with a different form of governance. We should keep the Constitution as a base of that. But I actually, and I'm a strong believer in the Constitution, but I have an issue in that I think we need a Social Security system that the government doesn't touch, like the one we have now. Because if the Social Security system was untouched by the government, speaking of Jimmy Carter being able to tap into it to pay the Forest Service, which they still do to this day, if they hadn't touched that money, every Social Security check would be $8,000 to $9,000 today, and we would be one of the wealthiest people on the planet.
It's just the nature of it. I mean, honestly, if you go back and you look historically, families used to take care of the older people in the family, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if you got rid of income tax, you don't need Social Security. There'll be so much more.
Except for those that don't have family and they get older, then who's going to take care of them? And I always go back to this one picture I saw.
It used to happen in the past, right?
Yeah. So there's a picture I saw.
I'm not saying you don't have it. I'm not saying that you do have it. What I'm saying is there's been periods of time where we have not had a Social Security in the country.
Yes.
And the community comes together and figures out how to help people.
And that's where it goes back to this one picture I saw of this retired old school teacher during the Depression living in a chicken coop. An old woman living in a chicken coop. And I thought to myself, no, man, we can't live that shouldn't happen in America. The lady dedicated her life to teaching. And because she had no family.
What's happening right now?
In a chicken coop.
We have
it's exactly what was happening. People are probably living in chicken coops.
And we're going to get to the point where we're not going to be able to pay it out. And if you can't pay out Social Security, even though you paid into it, or inflation goes so high, but it doesn't keep up with it, how are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to do that? So I think we are going to get into those days because of the inflation where people are going to be living with their parents again.
I know one way you can get through it. You can watch Stacking Surfer as he gives you economic news, and you can make wise decisions about your finances to navigate through this thing, or you won't be one of those people.
Yeah, we're going to try to help with that stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, I got to call it a night because I need to get some sleep before getting ready for the show. But what I am going to do is we're going to do another live stream tomorrow. So any of you that want to jump up here and join, we'll do that. And I don't know exactly what time it's going to be at yet. I'll try to do it a little earlier so we can get some of the East Coast folks too, but not too early. So maybe 7 o'clock our time, Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. I might try to do one tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we'll see what happens. I got to play that one by ear a little bit since we're getting set up. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, if I can get onto the Wi-Fi at the show, we'll definitely do some live streams there, which will be fun. And we're set up really close to PCGS, which I think will be pretty cool and get some good traffic for us. But, hopefully this works. If any of you guys are local and can make it out, do come out and say hi. I'm going to have, hundreds of stickers that we'll be giving out. We'll be giving some silver out as well. We can definitely be much more generous if the show goes well for us. But it should be fun. So I'm looking forward to it. And the last thing I want to say is Niels Think Hans Dynasty. I think we've got your stream has been put in here a few times, but it was good chatting with you. And, hopefully we'll find some good deals on some platinum, silver, and gold at the show. So we're going to be buying as well as selling. And for the most part, it's about having fun. It's about building community, guys. So thanks for coming out. And until next time, peace out.
Thank you.